We've all seen the promises online, right? Earn while you sleep, make $1 million from your couch. But what does it actually take to make some extra money on the side, especially when you've already got a job and, a life? Well, today, we're going to break down a really fascinating real-world experiment. One person's 30-day sprint to figure out if side hustles are all just hype or if they can really work for a normal, busy person.
See, the goal here wasn't some get-rich-quick fantasy. It was about something a lot more relatable. It was about finding out if small, consistent actions, squeezed into the cracks of a busy day, could actually add up to something real. Something you could actually see and repeat. That's the real question behind this whole thing. So here was the game plan. 4 weeks, 4 totally different side hustles. First up, creating digital products. Then, switching gears to service work with freelance writing. Week 3 was a modern-day treasure hunt called retail flipping. And to wrap it all up, they tested out the long game with affiliate marketing. Let's see how it all went down.
All right, so the first half of this experiment, well, it was a real grind. It definitely wasn't glamorous, and the results didn't exactly come pouring in. But the lessons learned in these first 2 weeks really set the stage for everything that happened next.
Okay, first up on the list was selling digital products. The idea here was to lean into an existing skill, design, and create things like digital planners and budget templates. The goal was pretty smart: build something once and then sell it over and over again.
And this is where we see the classic clash between strategy and reality. The plan was simple: make 5 products, throw up a shop online, all for a total cost of $0. The reality? Well, the setup part was a breeze, but the sales, they barely trickled in. And this exposed a huge lesson. Just making a great product isn't enough. You have to figure out how to get people to actually see it. This right here is such a crucial mindset to have. It's so easy to get discouraged when things don't go to plan, but instead of seeing it as a failure, it was treated as valuable data. That lesson about marketing was way more important than the few bucks that came in.
So after a whole week of creating and setting up shop, this was the grand total: $11. Yep, just 11 bucks. It's a pretty humbling start, and it really shines a light on the fact that so-called passive income is anything but passive when you're just getting started.
For week 2, it was time for a complete pivot. This time, the focus was freelance writing. Now, this is a totally different beast. It's a service-based hustle. You're trading your skill directly for money, which in theory should mean a much faster reward for your time.
Now, the strategy here was actually pretty clever. Stick to a niche you know well and lowball your bids just to get your foot in the door and build up a portfolio. But the reality was tough. It was a serious grind against some fierce competition. A lot of time was spent just sending out proposals that went absolutely nowhere. But, and this is key, persistence paid off. A small contract was landed, which brought in some cash and, maybe more importantly, that first crucial 5-star review. And just look at the difference, from $11 in week 1 to $180 in week 2. It just goes to show you, when you directly trade your time and skills for money, the results can be so much more immediate. It was a grind for sure, but hey, it paid off in a big way.
Okay, now we're getting to the fun part. Week 3 was, well, let's just say it was the most exciting and, spoiler alert, the most profitable week of the entire experiment. This was less about sitting at a keyboard and more about heading out on an adventure.
The hustle is called retail flipping, or arbitrage. The whole concept is actually incredibly simple. You go to places like thrift stores or garage sales, find items that are undervalued, and then you turn around and sell them online for a profit. It's all about having a good eye for a hidden bargain.
And this is where you get that little adrenaline rush, right? Check out these finds. A vintage board game, picked up for just $5, sold for $30. That's a fantastic return. But the real home run? A pair of limited edition sneakers found at a garage sale for $20 that sold for a jaw-dropping $150. That's the thrill of the hunt, right there.
And the total profit for the week? $225. This was the most lucrative hustle of the entire month, proving that, yeah, with a little bit of luck and a sharp eye, you can make some serious cash in a really short amount of time.
So for the final week, the focus took a huge turn. This wasn't about quick cash at all. This was about planting seeds for the future, about putting in the time now for a potential payoff way down the road. This was all about playing the long game. And that final hustle was affiliate marketing. Now, if you're not familiar with it, the idea is you recommend products or services you genuinely use and believe in. Then, if someone buys something through your unique link, you earn a small commission at no extra cost to them. The whole thing is built on trust and providing real value. So the strategy was to write some really high-quality, genuinely helpful reviews for a couple of favorite products. In reality, this took a ton of time up front for a very, very low initial return. But the big aha moment here was realizing that this content isn't just a review, it's an asset for the future that could potentially earn money for months or even years to come.
And the numbers definitely back that up. Just $23 in week 4. Now, looking at that number by itself, you might think it was a failure, but that completely misses the point. That $23 represents a seed that's just been planted, while the money from the previous weeks, well, that's already been harvested and spent.
And just like that, the 30-day sprint is over. So now it's time to add it all up and really dig into the most important lessons from this whole experiment. When you lay it all out like this, the story of the month becomes crystal clear. You see that slow start, then a big jump with freelancing, hitting a peak with retail flipping, and then that small, seed-planting return from affiliate marketing. The grand total after 30 days of hustling? $439. Not bad at all.
And when you see it as a bar chart, wow, the difference is just striking. Those huge spikes from freelancing and flipping, the active income hustles, they just tower over the earnings from the more passive long-term plays. This one visual kind of captures the whole story of the experiment.
Which brings us to the most crucial lesson of this whole thing. There are basically two fundamentally different types of side income. You've got your active income, like flipping and freelancing, where you're trading your time for immediate cash. And then you've got your passive potential, like digital products and affiliate marketing, where you're investing your time now to build an asset that can pay you back over the long term. Neither one is better. They just serve totally different purposes.
And really, that was the biggest takeaway. There is no single best side hustle out there. Freelancing and flipping were fantastic for quick cash, while the other two were really investments in the future. The goal isn't to find one perfect tactic, but to find a combination, a rhythm that actually fits your goals, your skills, and your life.
So this 30-day sprint proved it's absolutely possible to make a real, tangible income in the margins of a busy life. And it showed that maybe a blend of strategies is the most powerful approach of all, which really leaves us with the final question to think about. What combination of quick cash and long-term assets could create the right rhythm for you?